So tonight, we'll start as we have been with just kind of checking in with people about what you're noticing in your practice, what's happened. You can share your insights and victories or conundrums. This is also a chance to ask any questions you have. You know, maybe I haven't covered some aspect of goodwill that's been important to you or troubling you, or then this is a chance to like steer me a bit in that direction. So any of the above, even reporting what you've experienced in this meditation tonight is that's also a fair game for a comment or a question. All right, let's see, Brenda.
I've really enjoyed the sending goodwill to just people that I encounter along the way, just people in the streets primarily. That's when it really kind of clicks for me, and it almost is like I can just kind of turn it on, like and then it makes me realize, wow, okay, I might have just really totally ignored that person, and so it's just the contrast is kind of stark, but it's becoming more commonplace to just have that just kind of shine this kind of goodwill towards people, and then I'll share tonight. I have a complex and challenging family, and it was amazing how I was able to kind of turn that on or I don't know if it was turn on, but when we turned with our benefactor and looked outward, I was like, I didn't get the wave of like anxiety and anger and like different things that that in the past has come up. And I'll be seeing some members, next week. So it's just delightful to be like, wow, that this has been really, really helpful, and far reaching. So
I'm glad you found the switch, because it really is like that,
yeah.
The word mindfulness, it's often used in this tradition. It really comes from the root that means remembering. It's like you suddenly remember to be present.
Yeah.
And in a similar way, this kind of goodwill, you suddenly remember this is a possibility. I can actually, be meeting all these people with goodwill as fellow humans. And it's so much more pleasant than being in our thoughts.
Yeah.
It's kind of remarkable, isn't it?
Yeah.
When we're in our default mode, and literally in neuroscience, there's this thing called the default mode network in the brain. And so it really is our default mode to kind of be in this loop inside of ourselves, which is really very self-referential and contains our identities and judgments and and so we're just experiencing everything around us as related to me. And in that category, strangers are just like, I don't need to talk to this person, so they don't hardly exist. So when you go to do this goodwill, you're actually changing your brain. Obviously, everything you do with your mind, you're changing your brain, but you're stepping out of this default mode. And it's powerful and far-reaching. You said that very well. It's powerful and far-reaching. And this default mode is a cause of so much of our personal suffering, but it's also a cause of so much of our social suffering. Social suffering or political suffering is because we humans spend so much time in our own kind of default mode and hardly get out of it. So thank you.
Mm.
And it affects everybody when you do this.
Yeah.
we've all known the experience of being kind of in a, an unhappy place, and just having somebody meet our gaze and smile at us and have that shift. We've all had that experience. It's such a human thing. And so, when you are in that mode, when you're not in the default mode, but you're actually, and it takes a little energy and remembrance to switch to it, you actually are a beacon of a healthier, happier way to be. And people pick up on the signal. All right. Thanks, Brenda. Who else? Mickey.
Yeah. I'm making myself talk. I don't want to, but I will. A couple of things. One is I'm gonna cancel the hand. Anyway, one is I don't have any people I'm like really angry at or anything, but one person who I feel annoyed about her because she doesn't reach out to me, and I don't know, for a variety of reasons. And I sort of let myself remember what I know about her whole history. As a child, I don't know a lot, because I didn't know her then, but I have a sense of her history from being a child and then up to being where she is now, almost my age. And it's the thing that's helped me most here is this, to say to myself, which I often do, this is just a human being trying to be happy, right? And my feelings around her have softened a great deal when I remember that she had she went through very hard things in her life. And if she's a little closed emotionally now, yeah, I can understand that. Yeah. So it was very helpful to think in those terms. And then the other one, which didn't have to do with me, but I was using what I was learning here. So I have a friend who has a friend who suddenly cut her off. And they were really close friends, like family. They considered themselves family. And this other person just cut her off. And so my friend was really angry at her. And I kept saying, maybe something's wrong. Why don't you reach out and say, I'm worried about you? But really, she couldn't get past her anger. Well, it turns out some weeks later, in fact, this other friend she was put into a psychiatric ward. She had some kind of a major breakdown. And so I felt like I was learning from this class to like try to think of what's happening with the other person. I'm not sure I ever really got through, but it was useful for me to be able to watch that relationship and think about it in terms of, this is just a human being. Maybe they have a problem, So anyway, that's my whole story.
Great. Thank you, Mickey. That's a great kind of testimonial to how this works.
Yeah.
Yeah. We don't know what's going on with other people. We really don't. And if we were omniscient, maybe we'd know the causes of their behaviors. And sometimes when you know someone, you can reflect a little on their background as you did and kind of see the bigger picture where the behavior may be coming from. But I also want to say that sometimes you don't know that actual information. And nonetheless, you can presume it, you can surmise it, or at least say to yourself, I don't really understand this person's behavior. I don't know where it's coming from. But I trust that there's a reason on some level for this, as confounding as it might be, or even as hurtful as it might be. Cutoffs are remarkably common. And sometimes people never learn the cause of it, or never understand. Even when people try to say something, they don't understand. And so it's very helpful to be open to, the bigger picture of what might be going on with someone, even if you don't know. Yeah. Catalina.
I one of the things that I like a lot of last class was when you talk about your granddaughter and about how there is something beyond our understanding, like our mental understanding. It reminds me also about lots of times that I have deal with death, and that circumstances give me an insight of how life is full of things that we cannot. Well, usually we don't see it, but we perceive it. We perceive things, and so it gave me a lot of inspiration about like the practice, in the sense of the trust that there is something beyond our mind that can give us a way to navigate so much trouble in the world. So yes, so that like, so this week I have been like will remind myself about going into the meditation, going to a certain place of quietness, that it gives a it opens, and then the understanding of things in a completely different way of seeing, like the mind sees things black and white, and very emotional, very dramatic, black and white. And when I'm been working on that mysterious way of going into the meditation, into the body, into the quiet the mind, because the mind is paying attention to the breath, to the body, and to things like that. Then having to deal with all the obstacles and all the problems and all the scariness, kind of it calms down, and so yep, I just wanted to share that.
All right. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. And there's a trust there, we too often trust our head. We trust our thoughts to try to create safety for us, and it just isn't there. If anything, the thoughts create unsafety in their vigilance and the way that they kind of parse the world out into good and bad and desired and undesired, and all of that. So it's an amazing thing just to be able to quiet the mind and to trust another kind of light inside, if I can use that word, another kind of intelligence that becomes more active when the thought mind is quiet.
And that calm that it comes, the less reactivity, it really produce a wave in your relationship with people. And it's amazing. It's really amazing how you come into a situation that people are like, upset or angry or envious, or because you don't react, because there is no need to react. I
There's
don't
no
know
need to
why.
react. Yes.
Yeah, there is. So everything, the whole ambience calm down, and then there is possibility of friendship, there is possibility of understanding, of communication. So it's really amazing.
Yeah. People start to resonate with your peace, and they become more peaceful, and then all sorts of new possibilities are there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, Jim.
I don't know that I've ever made a decision to change myself
Wow.
when faced with whatever, a bad habit or a way of approaching someone differently. it all, but there is change going on. And it's sort of like becoming assimilated to whatever it is that I need to do in order to be more peaceful. But I'm just thinking about that. I'm going, wow, I don't know. I can't make a decision here. I don't know how to make a decision for myself. But somehow things are changing. So, and when I think about making a decision, oh, well, I'll change this, then fear comes up, and then, oh gosh, well, no, I can't do that. It's too hard. So it's just very curious to me.
Yeah. So, I recommend staying in the moment with this. And in the moment, you can reach down inside yourself and find in your being the place that knows you want to be different in the moment. Don't get ahead of yourself, because a lot of the despair comes with the mind kind of projecting a future, like how hard it's going to be, or
Yeah.
I won't be able to do it, or all these sorts of thoughts. They aren't so helpful. But in the moment, to really sink into the intention, to know this is what I really want for myself, is powerful. And then from then on, all you can really do is in any given moment, be that you've wanted to be. And there'll be moments when you catch yourself not being what you wanted yourself to be, And in those moments when you catch yourself, see if you can shift. So it only happens in the present moment. Change only happens in the present moment.
Yes.
You can't change it by imagining a future. And you can't change it by regretting the past. You can only change it by this moment now. And so, there was a moment when I realized that really my heart's desire is to be loving to everybody, including myself. And I've failed at that so many times, it's not even countable. But it was a powerful moment of just recognition that that is my deepest wish and my goal. But the truth of it is, in any given moment, I can choose that. I can't choose it for all the future.
Yeah.
But in any moment, I can choose it. In any moment, I can shift to, well, what would be love in this moment? What would it be to be love in this moment, in this situation? And that's kind of the word that I use, rather than I'm being loving kind of trips me up. So to be love takes the person out of it, takes the the me out of it, and then I can find it. So whatever change you're looking for, just really see if that's true. Is this really what my heart wants? And acknowledge that. And then just when you notice, move toward it in the moment. And you can only do it in the moment. And there can be many, many, many moments of oblivion. We are often oblivious to our true values. We get caught in these other kind of frames of mind that are about self-protection. That's a really common one, just self-protection and self-absorption. And those things kind of, obscure our heart's desire. But in a moment of mindfulness, of actually like remembering what you're doing here, that's the moment you can change. Only that moment. That moment when you remember. It's the only moment you can change.
It takes what you're saying is it takes failure out of it.
It takes failure out of it. It's like failure doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. Failure is an ego thing. It's like the ego measuring like where am I on the yardstick, and do I, have I met my ego ideals, which of course you never do. you're always falling below your ego's ideal. And so, yes, this approach, which is what I've just said, it's pure kind of teaching of karma. The action happens in the moment. It's just takes failure out of the whole picture. You can't fail. It's not about failure.